and welcome to another episode of Blasters and Boomsticks. I'm Grant, joined by my lovely friend Dan.
Hello.
Yes, that's Dan. And today we're going to be reviewing Pumpkinhead, the 1988 directorial debut of effects wizard Stan Winston. The film follows Lance Henriksen, because after a tragic accident, he conjures up a towering, vengeful demon called Pumpkinhead, surprisingly enough, to destroy a group of unsuspecting teenagers. So it's kind of a revenge horror movie, Dan.
Yep.
Yep. So, always a film I've heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Always a film I'd seen at the cinema. Always, I'd actually think I've seen a clip. Something in a magazine talking about it being at the cinema or something, but obviously it was I was too young at the time, and it's more recognising the name and VHS kind of covers and that kind of thing that being a kid of the 80s and stuff. Never ever got around to watching it, despite being a huge fan of Lance Henriksen. So for me, this is the first time I've watched the film.
Yeah.
So what about you? You previously?
Yeah, I'd seen it once before. Probably about, I'd say, getting on for 15 years, something like that. So early 20s. That puts me at, which is depressing in itself. But I was at the stage I really enjoyed it the first time round. Again, as like you said, I'd seen pictures of it, seen the pictures of the creature, and always sort of that side of things. So I was very aware of it, and sort of like being a sort of horror icon in its own right. And also you grow up sort of appreciating Stan Winston's work, so I wanted to seek it out again. So I'm glad we got the opportunity to watch it. I enjoyed it less this time round. Now, the performance, Lance Henriksen's absolutely fucking fantastic. I don't really want to stress just how good he is in this.
He's brilliant. Yeah, he's unbelievable.
The effects and the how it's shot, and it's all done incredibly well. A lot of love's gone into it. Stan's first film, absolute titan in the effects field. And leaves the design work to Tom Woodruff and Alec Gillies, who end up doing ADI and sort of taking over all the alien stuff. Great effects guys in their own right as well. It has all the potential to be an absolutely cracking film. The thing it lets itself down is when it comes to essentially not the plot devices in the whole revenge demon and everything. It's the fact that they teeter on the sort of slasher. 80s slasher sort of genre, and I think that's where it has its biggest failing, is because it felt like it needed these kids to be the catalyst for these events and the reason for for Pumpkinhead to come about, and which all sort of works out, but then it gets into this kind of melodrama, kind of stereotypical slasher, sort of thing, and it misses its mark by doing that.
Yeah, it feels like there's two different films.
Yes.
I feel whenever Lance Henriksen's on screen, I think my attention is grabbed completely 100%. And this the where he actually goes to visit the old witch to discuss, spoilers now. But obviously the tragic accident involves his son. So obviously he's very vengeful, revenge, and wants his son back. The witch essentially says she can't do this, and it becomes a quest for vengeance, and that whole kind of where she lives.
The swamp
the swamp. It's filmed. It's incredible. The set.
It's like a fairy tale.
Yeah, the makeup is incredible, and I mean, one of the, not saying yourself, but a few years ago, they reimagined one of the Resident Evil games and put it into a first-person perspective, and you've got these kind of, it's set in Louisiana swamps and stuff like that. And one of the main antagonists in the film is an elderly lady that lives out there. And when they were talking about influences in games, what some of the interview they mentioned, like Texas Chainsaw, and they mentioned Pumpkinhead, and obviously that reference flew over my head, like what potentially could that have been, or possibly. But now I see from this is, you know, the makeup on the witch's face is unbelievable, and her performance is amazing. And I think when you have something as strong and as memorable as that, as picturesque and disgusting as that is, you kind of then, when you go back and you're focusing on these teenage characters, it feels like it doesn't feel part of the same movie.
Yeah, and it's completely
none of them can hold their own
odd.
acting wise, can they? No.
No, I mean it's faces that have appeared sort of later on, you know, in other stuff as well, that they are essentially cannon fodder.
Yeah.
For Pumpkinhead, and it's kind of, you don't even. It's typical of 80s slashers, which this film shouldn't have been, but it's typical of that sort of genre that you don't need to care about that your teens who are getting killed, because you're watching like whichever number of Friday the 13th films you're at that point. You're essentially watching to see how inventive Jason kills these little shits. That's you're rooting for Jason, in these films, and that's where it misses the mark, because, like I said, it's set up as a fairy tale, and it's even the point where Lance Henriksen goes out to dig up the sort of mummified remains of the last Pumpkinhead, and it's sort of like this cemetery with pumpkins surrounded around it. It's got dry ice and everything, and the burial site for Pumpkinhead, it's on this mound of earth.
Yeah.
This single grave, like on top of, above everything else that he has to climb on top of, and it looks fucking fantastic. It's so sort of rich in its own mythology at that point, that introducing these, sort of beer swigging, teens, and I can't go back to prison, man, and all this sort of. So you just think, oh my god, it could have just been, even if they just toned them down, it'd have been better for it. And that's absolutely. Not to say it's an awful film by any sense. I still love it, but I love it for, again, like you said, I love it for Henriksen and the sort of fairy tale side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that, like, going into it, Pumpkinhead's supposed to be the creature what everyone thinks it is, but it's actually not. It's the name of the cemetery.
Yeah.
Where it is, because I think that the title's very good, personally, but it does confuse people, I think, because it can give it that very, like, children's kind of like fairy tale kind, like you said before about like antagonist creature that you can maybe not take too seriously. But I mean, the effects work is brilliant. It's quite, especially watching it the first time, it's quite limited. It always seems to be shot, like, some of the weak points of it are when it's shot and it's like coming through the church at the end, and it's just kind of lingering around for a little while, and you think, how can this thing catch you up? And then the next time you see it, like at the end, and its face is starting to become more human, and you think, oh my god, that's unbelievable. That is absolutely incredible. And it's nothing against the creature stuff that I'm saying, the negative parts of it. It's purely budget. It was made on $3 million. It's purely budget. It is.
So the thing is, like we talked about spoilers earlier on, so I think it's safe to say that the payoff is that without going too much into detail, that Pumpkinhead becomes more like its conjurer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And likewise, the person who wanted Avengers is becoming more like him, up to the nice little reveal at the end.
Yeah. When
the body gets buried back into his adornment. I don't want to say too much if people haven't seen that bit. So a little sort of twist in that bit, which is really a really nice touch. But there's some shots when it's walking through the church. And like I said, there's a couple of shots where it is lingering. You think, obviously it's limited a little bit. But then there's some performance stuff where it's full bodied. The full bodied suit is walking through the church on other shots, and you see everything. There's nothing around it, and it's walking. Its tail's moving about, and it's stalking everything, and it's just the suit itself. You can see all the money's gone into
Oh, absolutely.
the suit, and it's just such a nice bit of creature work. And obviously, like I think Tom Woodruff, who you see his influences. He was Gillman in Monster Squad, and
Yeah,
went on to be the alien and the alien runner in Alien 3. So it's nice to sort of, that's the sort of midpoint between Monster Squad and
yeah,
and
absolutely.
Alien 3. So it's really nice, but it's such a nice bit of work. But again, that's it. I think it comes down to it's slightly let down by its sort of teen angle.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the worst part of it for me. It's the fact that it is two movies. I'd be really happy for the film to be 70 minutes and to cut those fuckers out
Yeah,
and have it just a guy, one of the like a teenage couple, and have the actual teenage couple like kind of relatable. The accident kind of like less prickish and
yeah,
and more like a true accident, not just recklessness.
yeah,
And have these characters sympathetic, so you're actually a little bit like you want Lance, you feel for him and you can understand him, but you also want to like be like like, oh my god, these characters are in danger and I don't want them to die. Really,
yeah,
I want them to survive, or I can, kind of torn. Like
yeah,
you said, Freddy and Jason, you're the sat there going, hurry up, kill them.
yeah,
And I think Pumpkinhead had not earned its character's not human form, is it? So it's not as flexible like as a Jason to do all that with you. You're talking about a guy in a suit. It's not as charismatic as a Freddy Krueger, so we're not going to get no taunting. It's just a creature that looks incredible.
yeah,
The emotion and the character stuff comes from Lance, and
yeah,
he's the conjurer and the witch and stuff like that.
yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
I like that when it's stalking out, it's toying with them. I like sort of like cuts the girl who her boyfriend held out a cross and said, "You've got to put your faith in this." So you understand that she's a religious type. So Pumpkinhead sort of claws a cross on her forehead,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I tell you, I do love. There's the one death that I absolutely love. I think it's brilliant. It's when it grabs that girl and it pushes her face through the window.
Yes.
I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. No.
As far as gory deaths go, I thought it was just nice. It went over the top, but it just pushed her face up against that glass until it squashed, and then just pushed her straight through it. It was great.
That was brilliant. It's brilliant, but yeah, slightly disappointing for me just because I'd built up this kind of. And I think it's because when you're younger as well, your just imagination's incredible. I think I've been building for a while and just never got around to seeing it, and now I
Yeah,
have, and I'm happy I did. And I would say to people, it is a recommendation from me.
yeah, me as well. Yeah,
Yeah, but just noticed it's probably time has caught up with it a little bit.
yeah. It's very much a
Yeah,
product of the sort of late '80s. It's but I will say that it doesn't sort of suffer from the awful '80s soundtrack either. It
no,
it's a really nice score to it, and it has a lot going for it.
yeah, oh yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
just it could have just toned down. I think you're right. Probably if you trim down the overly guilty, the tough teen who looked about 40 compared to everyone else, and the locked people in the cupboard because they're going to call the police on
The
him.
fonts.
Yeah. So yeah, you could have done that, but Lance is. I think you could watch it for Lance's. I think that cold opening as well.
I was going to say that,
Yeah,
that opening. Yeah, that's great. Great
that's
introduction.
really good, and the fact that all the people living in that area are shit scared and defending their homes, they'd rather hear the neighbour getting murdered than
Yeah,
let them in and risk the family getting caught up in
yeah, absolutely.
everything.
So you've got two recommendations there.
Mhm.
Go out and see it, and revisiting old stuff like this is not just about accepting that you've missed a classic or something. Sometimes it's checking one off the list, and sometimes you find something that you really love about a film, and it's like this. Some of the just to end it on this, some of these imagery from this film will stay with me for years.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, and yes, the film's not perfect, and there's a few bits where you kind of want to tear your ear. I actually think, oh my god, that is so bad. It counted against something you just seen, which you think's so great. But just it's visually stunning, and yeah, definitely. I just want to say that I did have a lot of issues with it, but please don't let that hold you back from like going to see it. It's just watch it. Just watch it for Lance. That's all I can say.